you should be fasting. Trying to do like a little hook thing there. You know, you're supposed to do like hooks on social media. I honestly hate that shiz because it feels so cheesy to me. Let's talk about fasting. Let's talk about fasting, and let's talk about like the levels of fasting. And in a way, I want to talk about the levels of spirituality. Going from, you know, a born again new believer into more of a royal priest, where you're interceding for other people, where you're able to lift other people up. So when you start off as a believer, depending on your family situation, depending on your history, your trauma history, all of that, you need to be pruned for at least a good 3 years, okay? You definitely should not be out here teaching anybody anything if you haven't been pruned for a while, okay? 3 years, at least, minimum, okay? And then 1 year extra where you are taking time and just devoting yourself to Jehovah, giving all your fruit directly to him, and then people may partake of your fruit. This is the law of the fruit trees, and you'll find that in Leviticus 17, I think. When you're a new believer, you need to be pruned first. You've been living in the world, you have worldly ideas, you need to get all those dead branches off of you so you can start growing some good fruit. Now what happens is people get excited and then they open a TikTok account and they put themselves on a platform and they try to start instructing people, but they really haven't been pruned first. And Kanye West is a great example of this, and you know, who knows what went on with him. I think he was probably re-traumatized after his conversion, etc., etc. But having said that, he was born again. I truly think he believed, and I truly think he was born again. And he was out there trying to teach and like be involved right away, instead of taking a moment to get grounded in the word, to learn the word, and to be pruned first. And so I think this is really important to understand, because if you go out there and you try to start to teach and do all this stuff, you're going to experience battles that you're not ready to fight yet. You're going to experience challenges that you're not ready to walk through yet. So it's good to be pruned first and learn from others first. That's also humbling yourself, right? And so fasting is really important because it teaches you how to humble yourself and deny your flesh. Especially in this day and age, we have all sorts of things to satisfy our flesh around every corner, you know, from Tinder to corn to fast food to whatever you want, especially in North America, to satisfy your flesh, you can go out and get, you know, fairly cheaply, if not for free, right? And so learning the spiritual discipline of denying your flesh and consecrating yourself towards God is really, really important. It teaches you to have self-control. It teaches you to have restraint. And it also, as you seek God in that way, as you grow near to God, he will draw near to you, okay? Sometimes you don't need to start with just fasting food. Sometimes you need to start by fasting your scrolling. Most of you, it's scrolling that you need to fast from. It's your phone you need to fast from. You need to get a lock box for your phone and lock your phone up for a few hours a day. Let me show you mine. This is my lock box. You put your phone in there. You can plug it in so it's charging. And I like this part of it because if I get a phone call that I need to answer, I can answer it and I can talk. It's really awkward, but it can be done. And so you just lock it. I have it set for an hour right now. You can set it for whatever you want. And then your phone is locked in there. Amazon, fairly cheap. Totally recommend that if you have phone issues. Try locking your phone up for a whole day, you know, sometimes. Try having a phone-free day. I know it's difficult, but I think most people would benefit from fasting their phones more than anything else right now. So as far as food fasts go, if you are a super unhealthy eater, it's going to be harder for you to get into fasting lifestyle than somebody who eats fairly healthy already, who eats a lot of whole foods, who eats a lot of nutritious foods. It's going to be easier for that type of person to get into fasting, because if you are relying on sugar and carbs for your energy, like, you know, fast food and stuff, you have a lot of toxins in your body, likely, that are going to come out in a fast, and you're going to have a detox reaction. So it's actually better if you have a very unclean diet, as far as too much fried food, too much fast food, is to fix the little things first. Cut back on the sugar, switch the sugar out, get rid of the fast food, switch that out for whole foods. A whole food is something that is just like not processed at all. Like a steak is a whole food. Spinach is a whole food. So you want to eat more of the whole foods. An apple is a whole food rather than the processed foods. Processed foods are things like crackers, cookies, fast food, all of that stuff. Fasting can be for any period of time. If you just want to do a few hours, so say you want to do a fasting for the morning or fasting for the evening or something like that, like half a day. It doesn't need to be a whole day. Don't overwhelm yourself if you're really, really new at fasting. If you're more experienced at fasting, it gets easier to do longer periods of time. And it can get easier to fast more often when you're really, really used to fasting. If you're new to it, you want to switch your habits first and switch some of your foods first. You might want to get rid of sugar, start getting rid of caffeine or reducing your caffeine, stuff like that, in order to get your body ready to be more able to fast for periods of time. Now, as far as fasting other things, I would highly recommend starting with that. So fasting screens or fasting talking to people, fasting idle conversations with people. That's a really good one to do. So an idle conversation is a conversation that's not really necessary. It usually involves gossip, or it usually involves joking around, and it's just not really an edifying conversation. So if you fast from speaking for a while, or you fast from saying unnecessary things, that's a really good way to gain some self-control, especially if you have trouble with gossip or anything like that with your tongue. That's a good way to gain self-control. Another thing you might want to consider doing before you start a fasting routine is do what Daniel did. What would Daniel do? So Daniel would pray 3 times a day. He would get on his knees and pray 3 times a day. This is a really good habit to get into, to set a timer on your phone 3 times a day. You can look up the times that Daniel did it or what they think Daniel did it. It was based on the times that they did the offerings in the temple. That's when Daniel would turn towards Jerusalem and pray. And you can do it like that. You could go really far with it, or you could just do it really simple. And set the timer 3 times a day and just stop what you're doing, take a moment and take some prayer time. Doesn't matter how long, but get in those good habits, because changing your habits and adding in good habits into your life will improve your life and get you ready to graduate into deeper spiritual disciplines, right? So if you're already praying 3 times a day, and then now you're cleaning up your diet and you're cleaning up your food, and then the next step might be doing a Daniel fast or something like that. If you are interested to learn more about Daniel fasting, I just posted a video on YouTube, a breakdown of Daniel fasting. There's 2 types of fasts that Daniel did, actually, with 2 different intentions. And that's actually a really interesting thing to look at when you're looking at the Daniel fasts. And I broke that down on YouTube, and I also wrote a book on it, and that book is linked to my bio if you're interested in that. All right, happy fasting. Put your questions below, and I'll try to answer your fasting questions.